Hello gamers and operators, I'm Icebergs. Battlefield 2042 had an early and incomplete launch. The launch of Season 1 and further fixes are on the way, but will be enough to salvage the gaming franchise we all love. Well, we have a new hope for Battlefield 2042's salvation. How was Battlefield 2042's release timing? The Battlefield 2042 release was set up to be great, but also had terrible timing, releasing with multiple other large video games and video game events. Battlefield 2042 was launched at possibly the worst time of year to launch. We already know the game was not ready, but the game was released following the Haunting of Verdansk Part 2 event and the release of Call of Duty Vanguard. The Haunting of Verdansk Parts 1 and 2 are some of Call of Duty's highest player counts. The Haunting of Verdansk event ended on November 3rd, and the release of Call of Duty Vanguard was November 5th, keeping a large number of first-person shooter players still attached to the Call of Duty franchise. The early release of Battlefield 2042 on November 12th for Gold and Ultimate editions of the game showed everyone how unready Battlefield 2042 was for release. While the official November 19th release had a semi-major update, it still lacked everything the community wanted. Following the release of Battlefield 2042, Call of Duty released Season 1 of Vanguard on December 8th, leaving fans demanding Season 1 of Battlefield 2042. All of this combined with Battlefield not being ready for release made inopportune timing and a loss in player count. How was the Battlefield 2042 launch? The Battlefield 2042 launch was abysmal, and while fun, it has no factors that draw players back to continue playing the game. In addition, the special system they created and released on the Battlefield 2042 game is terrible, and a complete 180 from regular Battlefield systems that we all love. The special system is the epitome of ignoring a community and trying to reinvent the wheel. The system doesn't need to be changed. It just needs to be removed. Give us a character selection like Call of Duty, where the characters serve a purely cosmetic purpose and have no effect on gameplay. Yay. Please just give us a class system like we had in literally every other Battlefield game. Another issue from launch and currently going on is that the maps are just actually too large and lack any significant landmarks. Battlefield 3 and 4 had it nailed with large suburban and urban environments. Previous Battlefield games mastered that. Even though they were rural maps, the maps had a close and tight feeling, despite having large tracts of land.
She's got huge tracts of land!
Especially looking back on the objective layout, they felt like a great system where the objective was in reach of other objectives like a close relative system. Finally, Battlefield 2042 has had a problem with early game spawn systems, where even if a vehicle is not full and only has a pilot or a driver, you cannot spawn on it. It is blocked. You then have to spend a whole 2 minutes running to the objective because the map is so large. The weapon play and character models were inconsistent upon launch. Specific character models were unhittable, and certain weapons had insane recoil relative to the gun, or they would lock up and stutter while firing on full auto. This has since been fixed, but the lack of firearms in-game makes the gunplay unenjoyable. Overall, Battlefield 2042 launch was not fantastic, and the lack of content makes the game seem unenjoyable and straightforward. When will there be future content? Many Battlefield players, including myself, were disappointed that additional content for Battlefield 2042 will not be released until March of 2022. This is a 4-month delay in the release of other content, which the game desperately needs. For example, upon the release of 2042, there were only 22 weapons in game. We need an emergency injection of 50 more guns as soon as possible. However, we know that the new data mined map will most likely be released in the March update, thanks to a data miner named Temporal. The map is based in British Columbia, Canada, and is called Exposure. The map looks like a vast verdant countryside area with large areas of tree cover and an enormous topography of hills, mountains, and cliffs. This will be a massive change in terms of maps. ironically called exposure and having the most coverage of any Battlefield 2042 map currently available. We also do know a little background on the map. A landslide has exposed a secret weapon facility, and the Russians suspect it contains a secret weapon. We also see a considerable amount of disappointment at EA Production Studios themselves. They basically had a massive development and production shakeup of 2042. They cut a large amount of the initial development and production team and replaced them with many veteran game designers to fix the game.
Holy Jesus. What is that? What the fuck is that?
We see the veteran game designer's disappointment, especially coming in a tweet from Marcus Lato, a new veteran video game designer hired by Electronic Arts, responding to a tweet. Most recently, a Battlefield player tweeted Lato on December 31st saying, "I have a rough time figuring out why EA is transferring my beloved franchise, Battlefield, into what it is not. If you could help maybe clarify that for me." Lato responded saying, "I'm figuring that out myself, then planning to fix things." This shows for once that EA is listening to fans and actually trying to save the release of a game that almost ended the entire series. Currently, Battlefield has one of the lowest Steam ratings of all time, sitting at 67% dislikes with 83,700 reviews on Steam. As confirmed by GameSpot, Marcus Lato's Seattle-based team is all about expanding Battlefield 2042's narrative across a variety of experiences, and acts as the driver for a narrative in tight collaboration with DICE and Ripple Effect Studios to help build a greater player experiences in the Battlefield universe. One thing to think about is the new studio's plans for Battlefield 2042 are still under wraps. Still, Lato has said that he's hearing the player base's ideas loud and clear and asked them to keep it coming. He's also said there's going to be no clown shooters that will happen on my watch. Battlefield 2042 in review. While Battlefield 2042 experienced a god-awful launch, the game can be great. But we, as a community of interconnected gamers, are collectively upset at the game's release. I think we can all agree that delaying the game a few months would have made it better for the community, and it would not have experienced the terrible reaction that we saw upon its release. Unfortunately, this is a common trend in video games nowadays, releasing a game before it's ready. It needs to stop, because the community and the fan base are starting to turn this into a death sentence for games that aren't ready for release. And this has almost killed the Battlefield franchise. We have to have patience and faith that EA will correct the game in the future, and I will give you continuous updates on the state of Battlefield 2042. Until next time, stay frosty.